when I was out with the dogs this morning, I was talking about this bodily sense of continuity and persistence, which some theorists like Damasio, like Metzinger, posit as the embodied origins, or the embodied kind of anchor, really, for this sense of continuity of self that we have, this continuity of identity. That, so even though our bodies are changing, our thoughts are moving rapidly from one thing to another, we're going to sleep, we're waking up hours later, all these changes are taking place. There's this continual kind of pulse, carrier frequency, or one of those kind of metaphors, an activation pattern probably in the brain, which is consistent, and which is like what I referred to this morning as a kind of still center of a turning experience. And I've been thinking again about this idea of center in relation to that, because there's nothing particularly centered about an activation pattern, if indeed that's what it is. I guess it must be something like that. I'm guessing that there's things happening in the body, if I'm interpreting the theory correctly, there's things happening in the body like maintenance signals being sent from various organs, tissues, joints, all being sent to the brain, basically repeating the same refrain of here I am, here I am, here I am, which acts as a kind of consistent backbeat to everything else that's going on. And it's the consistency and the persistence of that which gives the perhaps illusion of persistence, or gives grounds for this persistence of identity and selfness, this feeling of self-identity over time that we think of ourselves, I guess, as our identities. But why center? That's what I'm coming back to here. When I was talking this morning, I couldn't help keeping using this word center. But as I say, there's nothing particularly centered about an activation pattern. So what I'm thinking there is that there's probably something else going on. What I'm guessing is that and this is purely speculation, I've got absolutely no grounds for believing this. What might be happening there is that stable, persistent activation pattern might be linking itself up to other stabilities that we have in our experience, in our perceptual experience. Certainly as we move through the world, the way our perceptual apparatus is set up, the way our eyes work, the way our ears work, the way our hands work, they arrange the world around us. So as I'm in this little wood near where I live, I'm looking around, and the trees are organized around myself. And wherever I stand, they're always like that. If it's not trees, it's buildings. It's not buildings, it's fields. If it's not fields, it's crowds of people. And they're all organized around this still center. So as I'm turning now, I mean, I kind of know that it's like me that's turning and the world is still. But in many ways, what it feels like and what it looks like, and what it probably looked like on this video thinking about it, is that I'm still and the world is turning. So there seems to be a kind of secondary level of persistence, a secondary pattern, presumably a pattern of activation or irregularities in patterns of activation, something like that, which adds to that one I just mentioned before. So in addition to this pattern that's coming up from the activations of our bodies, which is just this endlessly repeating, here I am, here I am, here I am, or I'm alive, something like that. There seems to be this other pattern, I'm guessing, coming from my sensory organs, my ears and my eyes particularly, but other organs as well, saying, you're in the center, you're in the center, you're in the center. So it doesn't seem too big a stretch to think that what might be happening there is that those two patterns firing together are also kind of wiring together. So it's here I am at the center, here I am at the center, here I am at the center. It's constantly being posited. Maybe. So I don't know that for a fact, but maybe there's some logic there why this centre metaphor keeps appearing in my thoughts when I'm thinking of these things. I occasionally think of ground metaphors, which is perhaps I'll think about some of the time, but this notion of centrality, a central core, as being crucial in this in an understanding of the relationships between that stable, persistent pattern and the more ephemeral fluctuations that take place, those other unstable patterns. As I say, I do seem to be mapping that in my understanding as a centre periphery kind of map, where stability and persistence locates itself at the centre, and ephemerality, the dog chasing a rabbit, ephemerality and instability and transience array themselves around that centre in more peripheral ways. I guess I can't help thinking here about Jung, actually. It just cropped up whilst I was talking. One of the models that Jung has of the psyche, I think Jung's probably terribly unfashionable these days, but one of the models that he has of the psyche is kind of like a series of concentric rings, with the self being at the centre as a kind of contentless point. Looks a bit like a mandala, and I'm guessing he's probably influenced by mandala since he wrote quite a bit about that. But the most not rudimentary, that's right, the most essential kind of self in that model, in Jung's model, is this central point within a series of concentric things, out with that centre a range of peripheral kind of parts of what it is to be a person, like things like ego and anima and shadow and all the rest of that sort of Jungian panoply of archetypes that arrays itself around that. I don't know about all that stuff, but I think it's just interesting that he's using that central model, and it kind of accords, I guess, with what I'm thinking and talking about and feeling to a certain extent. I certainly feel a bit like that right now.